See, it is 3:01. We will start in just another minute or two. There may be a few stragglers who had some issues with connection that need to come in. We'll start. I'll go with 3:03. We'll start. Okay, I'm seeing a couple questions in the Q&A area that I will talk about. One was, has there been any real discussion about going back to a live delegate assembly? Um, the answer is yes. In fact, we changed the bylaws last year to keep our delegate assembly virtual. So, uh, so the answer to that is yes, there has been discussion, but the decision has been to stay virtual. And then uh, I'm seeing a lot of questions about, am I here? And the answer is I can see that you are here in the attendee list, but I think the way this is set up, it doesn't allow for the participants. Um, and I'm not sure if we can change that. Uh, Debbie is the host. She will work on that as we're going to see if there's a way to allow people to view the participants. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Laura, could you please share your screen?
There you go.
Thank you. Could you go to the next page, please? So I would like to call the 2025 Delegate Assembly of the American Mathematical Association to come to order. I welcome the members of the Assembly and guests. Your mic is muted until you are recognized to speak by me. If you wish to speak, there will be a form that you will fill out, and this form will be periodically placed in the chat. Please enter your details into this form. When I call for comments, I will pause for 30 seconds to allow time for people to complete this form. When recognized, you will be allowed to speak. Make sure your microphone is ready to be turned on when speaking privileges are granted. You can use the Zoom chat for seconding motions. The host will monitor the chat for this. Please note that when you enter information into the Zoom chat, it goes only to the host. I am appointing Don King as parliamentarian and Dennis Ebersol as timekeeper. I would like to introduce the members of the 2024-2025 AMATYC Executive Board. My name is George Hurlbert, and I am the president. Eddie Churchian is our president-elect. Laura Watkins, past president. Kyle Kundamal, treasurer. Jonathan Weisbrod, secretary. And all of those people waved to you because they were hosts, co-hosts. The following are not, but I'm going to read their names for you. We have Sophia Georgiakaki as our Northeast VP, Dennis Ebersol as our Mid-Atlantic VP, Alvena Atkinson, Southeast VP, Brandon Bartley, Midwest VP, Dale Johansson, Central VP, Jennifer Travis, Southwest VP, Jessica Bernard, Northwest VP, and Lindsay Gerber, West VP. My sincere thanks to these board members for all of their dedication, work, and their friendship. Mr. Secretary, do we have a delegate count available yet?
Yes, we have 113 delegates checked in out of a potential 246, so we have met quorum.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Laura, could you please go to page 15, please?
Yes, just a second. There you go.
Here we go. The rules of conduct are found on page 15 of the delegate assembly packet. There it is. All persons who speak must submit their names, delegate type, and whether they wish to speak for the motion, pro, speak against the motion, con, or ask a procedural question, such as call the question. I will recognize a delegate before the delegate may speak. The time limit for debate on a motion is 10 minutes, and that can be extended if needed. To simplify timing, we set an initial limit of 2 minutes per speaker. If there is no objection to the motion on page 16 of the delegate packet, we will consider the rules of conduct approved. Please indicate any objection using the chat.
Hey, George, this is Eddie. Point of order.
Yes.
It seems that the chat is disabled, so folks cannot get to it to talk to you or to bug you or to request a comment or to do anything. Maybe you or one of the other hosts could enable the chat and let folks message you only, perhaps. We're getting in the Q&A messages that it's disabled, so they have no way to see the link for the sheet for comments or talk to you.
Okay.
Just wanted to bring that up to your attention. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a problem. If I'm telling use the chat and they can't use the chat. Um, um,
Eddie, do you want it so that attendees can chat with just hosts and panelists or everyone?
Hosts and panelists only.
Okay, I got it.
It's supposed to be set up that way. I will try and fix it, but I don't know if I can right now.
I think I just said it myself.
Thank you.
Can some okay, thank you. Yes, okay, it does seem to work. Okay. Pat, when it is time for people to speak, I will put that comment in the chat. Okay, so back to our motion. Is there any objection to the motion on page 16? There being no objection, the rules of conduct are approved. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda that is on page 1 through 2 of the delegate assembly packet? Please put any additions or corrections in the chat. Sean Saunders would like a point of clarification. Um, let's see. Sean, I have given you permission to talk.
Perfect. Thanks, George. Just wondering if the discussion about the name change that's indicated in the agenda, if that is like a vote for approval or if that's just information.
That is just for information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Hearing no objections or corrections, if there is no objection, we will consider the motion on page 17 of the delegate assembly packet approved. If there are objections, please post them in the chat now. Seeing no objection, the agenda stands as approved. I'm reporting that the minutes of the 2024 Delegate Assembly have been reviewed, corrected, and approved by the 2024 Delegate Assembly Minutes Approval Committee, chaired by Alvina Atkinson. The minutes can be found on page 18 through 63 of your packet. Thank you to Alvina and the committee members for doing this important work. Laura, can you please go to page 64? Oh, you beat me to it. Thank you very much. In your delegate packet, available on page 64, is information on the Delegate Assembly Minutes Approval Committee, with a motion to approve the committee on page 66. As a result of the nominations forwarded to me by regional vice presidents, I am recommending the following members for the 2024 Delegate Assembly Minutes Approval Committee. The chair is, Laura, scroll down one more page and these names will show up. The chair is Dale Johansson, who is our central VP. The state delegate is John Bennett from the state of North Carolina. Affiliate delegate Sarah Pauley from AMATYC. Affiliate president Christine Maharaba. Sorry, Christine, I've mispronounced your name. President of AMATYC. And our past president is Kate Kozak. And Jonathan Weisbrod will serve in an ex officio capacity as secretary. If there are no objections, we will consider the motion on page 66 to be approved, and that the Delegate Assembly Minutes Approval Committee will be formed. Please place any objections in the chat. Hearing no objections, the Delegate Assembly Minutes Approval Committee is approved. Thank you. Moving on to the President's Report on page 67. I am pleased to report that the total registration at the Reno conference was 787 attendees, plus 82 guests, for a total of 869 individuals. This was a decrease from last year. Last year we had 957, but that was anticipated since last year was our 50th anniversary. Before moving on, I would like to take a little time to talk more about our finances and one action in particular taken by the board that has created some discussion. Our treasurer will give more details about our finances during his report. So for now, I will just state that we have passed a deficit budget for the past 3 years. And we have been losing money as an organization longer than that. We are fortunate that previous boards had the foresight to create a substantial savings for AMATYC. However, we cannot continue to dip into savings year after year. Earlier this year, I received a letter from our investments committee voicing their concerns about this issue. The board has taken multiple steps to save money. Members probably won't even notice many of the changes we have made, such as contracting with a new audio-video company for the 2026 conference, or having a regional breakfast instead of a regional lunch at the conference. You may be surprised to know that switching from breakfast to lunch saves us nearly $30,000, which gives you an idea of the cost that we spend on food. There have been many other background type changes that most people will never see. But one change that has been noticed is the reduction of 4 academic networks, or ANETs. I would like to explain how and why that decision was made. The current board began a process of reorganization, looking to improve efficiency and save money. To that end, I charged the Organizational Assessment Committee with reviewing all positions that are funded to attend the conference. The committee chose to start with reviewing ANETs, primarily due to terms of the ANET chairs ending on December 31st of this year, allowing for not having to end a position in the middle of an agreement. The incoming board will continue to look at reorganization possibilities, specifically looking at board positions. Board positions could not be changed this year due to being in the middle of an election cycle. The recommendation from the Organizational Assessment Committee was to discharge 4 ANETs: adjunct faculty issues, developmental mathematics, division and department leadership, and pathways. The committee not only recommended the reduction, but also recommended a reorganization of the remaining ANETs into 3 categories: pathways, research, and resources, with the goal of each category working in conjunction for items like theme sessions. The Organizational Assessment Committee further recommended that each remaining ANET update their charges to include, where appropriate, work that has been done by the disbanded ANETs. The plan is that the 4 ANETs don't simply disappear, rather their work is completed in a different fashion. This was a very important part of the choice of which 4 ANETs to reduce. I want to emphasize that the performance of the ANETs was in no way part of the decision-making process. It was fully financial and how we thought we could reorganize and still be efficient. It is also important to note that the final decision was not made in a vacuum. The Organizational Assessment Committee contains board members and non-board members, one of whom is an ANET chair. After the OAC made their recommendations, President-elect Churchian and I held a meeting with ANET chairs to explain the reorganization and what was expected going forward. The chairs in attendance understood the need to be more efficient and overwhelmingly supported the proposal. After that meeting, I sent an email to all ANET chairs, giving them further opportunity to discuss their concerns. I received no responses to that email, so the proposal went forward to the board. The board approved this motion, which will save us approximately $6,000 per year. While change brings challenges, it also brings opportunities. We have asked the remaining ANETs to update their charges to include the work of the ANETs being reduced. We recommended ideas like having joint shared sessions as an idea to work together. We anticipate that this reorganization will encourage more collaboration among the ANETs. Now, I noticed that there has been requests to speak. At this time, I am not going to accept those requests. I believe there will be a motion coming later in the meeting about the reduction of the 4 ANETs, and I think it would be more appropriate for people to speak at that time. I hope that gives you an idea of the process we went through and the reasoning behind it. Okay, moving forward to the treasurer's report. On pages 69 through 77, you will find the treasurer's report. Mr. Treasurer, is there anything in particular you would like to say?
Yes, so the financials was sent to the delegate assembly concerning so in the packet you will see it shows all of our transactions that happened in the last year. We did get a clean audit. That was something that I should report. Now, budgetary wise, George mentioned that the last year we had to pass a deficit budget, and it is looking that for the year 2026, we pass another deficit budget. And it is a pretty significant deficit, I would say. So that is, one thing that we really have been working as a board to see how we can, not have to pass a deficit budget every year. But I did not receive any questions in regards to any of the financial report that was sent out. But there was a couple of things that I wanted to share. Just kind of give you guys an idea historically of like where our organization has been standing when it comes to attendance and also like membership. So I don't know if I'm able to share that, Laura. Is that something that I can do? I just had a couple of graphs that I wanted to share with everybody.
I stopped sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so and this is really quick. I just have two graphs that I wanted to show you guys and give you an idea of like where we've been standing. First, here is our historical membership numbers over the years. So as you see, the last and it actually, it kind of started before COVID, I should say, where a decline has happened. But as you can see here in the last probably 5 years or so, our membership have been at the lowest it's ever been, at least going back to 1999. That's how far back of a data I had. So, as an organization, we're really trying to, help boost membership in any way we can. And I'm hoping that maybe, you guys here in the part of the delegate can maybe find ways to help us do that. The last data point here is from 2024, and then I do have an update for membership for this year. We're at 1,063, so it's slightly lower than what it was in 2024, but right around the same. And then the other graph that I wanted to share with you guys is our historical conference attendance. As you see here, we are still trying to catch up to kind of pre-COVID numbers here as well. And like George just mentioned that in Reno, we had a total attendance of 869. So that's a little less from Atlanta, like he mentioned. But at least it's higher than Omaha. So we are trending in the right direction, but obviously not as fast as we would like it. So, but yeah, so those were the two things that I just wanted to share with the delegate. I don't know if we have any questions. If
Are there any questions for Treasurer Condomal?
Yes, Jim, I do know. And that is one thing. Getting to Reno was a lot of people was a bit harder. I know some people had to take like 3 flights to get there. And so yeah, those are all factors we're going to be taking into consideration for future conference locations as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Jim mentioned that travel to Reno was not easy as it was to get to Atlanta. So that could possibly have affected the attendance in Reno.
Okay, a couple other questions that came up. Is membership of state affiliates tracked? Not by us, no. That would be the purview of each affiliate to do so. Another question, are there committees that focus on membership boosting strategies, or is the delegate assembly the group to look at this? So we have a specific membership committee, which contains most of the board members whose job is to focus on trying to boost membership. Based on the letter I received from the Finance Committee, I am also creating a special task force, which past President Kate Kozak is chairing, to try to look at other means for boosting membership and saving costs.
Alan,
So you know, I'm going to pause and say, so many things are coming through the chat that it is not possible for me to keep up with them. So I'm going to repost this link. If you would like to speak, please complete that form. Or if you have a question, I mean, please complete that form.
George, there was one question that asked how much the annual deficit was. Can I address that?
You may.
Okay. Alan, so Alan asked how much the annual deficit was, and our 2026 budget that we passed was at an annual deficit of $99,000, or that was the deficit amount. So.
Okay, seeing no more requests or no more questions, we can move forward. The foundation report is on page 78. Past President Watkins, is there anything you would like to say about your report?
I would just like to thank the members and friends of AMATYC who have supported the foundation over the years, particularly Anne and David Dudley, who have come forward to initiate a campaign to fund the Teaching Excellence Award. The endowment will be called the Anne and David Dudley Teaching Excellence Award Endowment. And they are doing a matching campaign to raise the $50,000 needed to endow that award. This became necessary because publishers are in tough financial times, like many, and that they are no longer funding, I guess is the word I'm looking for, our awards in the way they used to. Beyond that, this year we've had a number of submissions from mini grants from members, so that's been a great experience for the foundation. And I think that's all I have to share. Are there any questions?
If there are questions, please put them in the link provided.
Hey, George,
George,
it's Ed again. Point of order.
Yes,
Um,
Eddie.
things are a little different now that you're allowing folks to use this form to comment. I'm going to ask people that are filling out the form to specifically specify is a fun phrase, by the way, what they want to speak to, because we want to make sure that if you're going to speak, it's to the report that's being presented or to the, matter of conversation. So we have Kim Walters and Judy Ackerman that it seems they want to talk about this. I'm not sure, but just letting you know, Tim Mayo and as well, and Pat Barrientos and Eddie Churchian have indicated that it's about adjunct or ANET. Oh, I guess Pat just put that she's the adjunct teacher's ANET chair, but I assume that based on that indication, it's for the motion. I don't know, and I'd like to speak to a future motion, not right now. So maybe folks that want to leave a comment, please specify what you want to comment on. And George, to let you know, Kim Walters is first. Sorry, Tim Mayo is first. Kim Walters is second. Judy Ackerman third.
Tim, you should be able to unmute your microphone and speak.
All right, is everyone able to hear me?
Yes.
Hello, this is Tim Mayo, president of NevMatic Nevada affiliate. I just needed to point out something on page 67. Jillian Kiefer's first name was misspelled. I worked with her in the hospitality room, and she was on the planning committee.
Thank you for pointing that out. That would be my mistake. So
Right. Thank you, George.
thank you. Eddie, who was next, please?
Kim Walters is next.
Kim, you can unmute and speak.
I'm sorry if you can hear me. I just had a
Yes.
question regarding the membership numbers. If there was a breakdown as to how many members were from 2-year colleges and how many were from 4-year colleges. I was just more curiosity than anything else, just being from a 4-year school, just trying to figure that out.
No, that is not something. I mean, there's a way for us to look at obviously what college they're from, but we have not really separated those two numbers. But I think that's a great point, Kim, and I think that is something we definitely are going to look into.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
And Eddie, please remind me who was next.
Yeah, next up is Judy Ackerman on finances and membership.
Judy, you should be able to unmute.
Yes, thank you. George, I appreciate the candid discussion about AMATYC finances. And I'd like to point out that I think it's incumbent on all of us delegates to make sure that we're talking about AMATYC and encouraging colleagues at our institutions to be joining. Because the membership decline can't be blamed on COVID. From the chart that we saw, it started before we had COVID. The conference attendance certainly is related to COVID and is hopefully inching back up, but membership isn't. And so with all of us delegates, I hope we're all making sure people understand the benefits and why they should be participating. So I thank you for addressing this issue here.
Thank you, Judy. I'm refreshing the sheet to see if there's anybody else who wanted to speak. That seems to be moving slow today. It looks like we have cleared all of the speakers at this point. Excellent. Okay, so next we have a strategic planning report. On page 79 are the mission, vision, and core values of AMATYC. And on page 80 is the AMATYC strategic plan. Are there any questions for President-elect Churchian on the strategic plan? Seeing no comments, we'll move on to the conference site selection report, which is on page 81. Pretty simple report. We haven't started looking for new conference sites yet, but we plan to do so beginning in 2026.
Yeah,
Are
George,
there any?
may I
You
add to
may,
that?
Eddie.
So sorry about that. And thank you. Just very brief, as you mentioned, everything is in there that's key. I just wanted to sort of add to it as to why that is, if folks are wondering. But we're pretty much following advice from our partners at Merits that we work closely with. And Merits helps us book locations, consider possible locations, and all things conference as well. And the industry standards have changed quite significantly after COVID. So for a conference of our size, booking 2, 3, or 4 years in advance seems to be becoming the new norm. And we are working with Merits on future sites, but it's just what they are advising us is best for our organization at this time. And we do anticipate going, to observe some sites this coming year and having a location for 2029, hopefully pretty soon. But I just wanted to add, we're pretty much following industry standards at this point, and this world has changed drastically after COVID when it comes to conferences. That's it. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Are there any questions for President-elect Churchkin? Kate, you should be able to unmute.
Yes, thank you. All I want to know with the strategic plan is usually instead of just giving us the strategic plan that's been approved, we also should hear a little bit about where we are on what has happened with the different pieces and where kind of an update of where things are in the process of meeting the pieces of strategic plan. And I'm also wondering, there's been a lot of talk lately of a 5-year strategic plan is not the best idea. Has the board talked about becoming a little bit more responsive? Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm happy to answer that. Those several questions. The board has not had a discussion about the timeline being different than 5 years. That has not been brought up to our attention, at least as far as I'm aware. And as far as the implementation, so this strategic plan, as you could see on there, is 2024 through 2029. The previous president-elect, the current president, George Herbert, had the honor of coming up with the final plan. His group did, and I think he did a wonderful job of sort of summarizing what AMATYC should be doing as an organization. For our board, as president-elect, my responsibility was to create a timeline of implementing this and to sort of add to the implementation plan. And our board pretty much agreed that majority of this plan is linked to our current website and our sort of current organization. So we did have pretty lengthy discussions at both full board and spring board meetings both years about some of the specific items. The board came up with various recommendations and various things we could do. So there are several outputs that have come up from this discussion, from this strategic plan. One is the addition of a brand new website, a new database, which will allow us to be a lot more efficient, a lot more fiscally responsible with those expenses, and also allow us to do a lot of the things in the plan. The other is an effort that our professional development committee is working on. And next summer, we're hoping to have a summer edition of some professional development talks, which would feature webinars on a couple days in July, most likely. And we're trying to see if there's going to be more engagement in summer. There's been a lot of recommendations on doing more regional things, etc. So our charge was really to come up with a timeline to implement this and an short implementation plan. We have done so, and then the next president-elect will have the pleasure of working further on that until we reach the goals there in 2029. Thank you.
Okay, I'm seeing 2 more requests to speak. Natalia, you should be able to unmute.
Thank you so much. I want to comment on the following. a very important point was made in the beginning that the work of ANETs that will be dispersed next year should continue under the umbrella of the Romanian ANETs. And in particular, in the light of part 2 of the strategic plan that we are looking at, the part 2 reads build an inclusive environment within AMATYC. It is very important and shouldn't go amiss. I'm speaking as an adjunct instructor. It's very important to include adjunct instructors on equitable grounds with the faculty and other members of AMATYC. And with the adjunct ANET going away, I would really like to emphasize the importance of continuing the efforts in the field of including adjunct instructors through the scope of what other ANETs are doing. It will also support the point that was made about the importance of us reaching out to our colleagues and inviting more people to become members and attend the annual conference. Many adjunct instructors do not have equitable access to funding, so it is not an easy decision for them to attend a conference. They often self-fund. So it is very important for us to provide programming during the conference, make it a rich experience that will justify for adjuncts to take part in the conference as speakers, as attendees. So I want to, in summary, bring the attention of Romanian ANETs that we should look for opportunities to include the adjunct membership. And in conclusion, want to thank Pat Barrientos, who was driving this work for the past years. She has done a lot, and as an adjunct, I have felt included, not in the list, but in big part to her efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie, you should be allowed to unmute.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up on Eddie's mention of site selection and change in timing. I was wondering if that might also allow for looking more, or if there would be consideration of looking at locations and facilities that could support hybrid offerings to draw more people to the conference who cannot attend in person for one reason or another, including finances for a full in-person conference.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Carrie. To my understanding, that's not how we go about it, because that involves additional costs. And our conference is an in-person conference. It is not a hybrid conference. So what I mentioned about doing events in summer online purely through webinars and Zoom is our hope of addressing that audience that might not be able to make it to the conference every year or at all based on their status. The finances of running a hybrid conference are extremely high, and the quality also is not there from what we've seen. So for it to be there, it's even more expensive, unfortunately. So we have directed merits to look for sites that make sense to us financially for the size of our organization and our budget. But at this point in time, we are only seeking in-person sites.
John, you should be able to speak. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead, John. Gloria, I missed you. You will be next.
Thanks, George. I just want to thank my colleague Natalia for speaking to inclusivity for adjunct professors. I'd also like to speak to that point as it pertains to Canadian colleagues in the AMATYC. One of the challenges that we experience in Canada in terms of being able to participate in the AMATYC is the substantial exchange cost, right? The American dollar is about $1.40 Canadian, and given that our salaries and cost of living are roughly on par in terms of dollar for dollar, it sort of represents an increase of about 40%, making it more challenging for Canadians to come to the event. Now I realize there can't be anything done about hotel costs or anything like that, but I wonder if there might be a consideration, especially since there are so few Canadian registrations right now, that there might be some consideration going forward to ways of making things more equitable for Canadian colleagues in terms of parity on the dollar.
Thank you,
We would
Sean.
love any suggestions you have.
Well,
Gloria,
yeah,
please. Oh, sorry.
sorry,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Sean.
Yeah, just my one suggestion would be if there is a possibility of even making memberships and conference registration fees for Canadians to be the same price, but in Canadian dollars.
One thing that we experienced when we were in Toronto, which by the way we went because we knew you were going to do an amazing job as a local events coordinator, Sean, was because we wanted to honor our Canadian members, number one, and give them the opportunity to attend. But one thing we noticed was that the organization got charged a lot of money in conversion when it comes to dollars, Canadian to American. And we are an American association, and how we did our finances, including purchasing registrations and all that, and other expenses, actually hit us with quite the bill. So I think it's a great suggestion. I think we could look into it further so that we know how to do things better next time. But the other thing I would add is we could consider going to Canada again, just like we did in Toronto, and not forget that we have Canadian members. I just don't know when that would be. Obviously, we want to give everyone an opportunity to host. But yeah, that's we appreciate that suggestion and something to look into further. I'm just talking purely based on our experience from Toronto.
And I do want to remind people that there is time at the end of the meeting for general comments. At this point, we should be focusing on strategic planning and site selection. Gloria, please.
Oh, yes, sir. My name is Gloria Perino. I'm from LSU Eunice in Louisiana, and AMATYC affiliate president. Years ago, in the early 2000s, I participated in some summer institutes that AMATYC hosted through NSF grants. We did like a weekend kind of during the school year, and then a week-long intense institute in terms of professional development. And I was just curious if in some of that professional development and planning, in addition to those webinars, if anything like that was in consideration.
If we could find funding to do something like that, we would love to do it again. What we have done the last few years, we had some workshops through our Teaching for Prowess grant, where groups from colleges were brought in to learn more about active learning in the classroom. And then more recently, we had a summer institute on 2-year data fest, or not 2-year data fest, on data science programs, 2-year data science programs. And I know that we have one of our members has reapplied to have a second part of that. We had hoped to do that last summer, but with changes in the government, that didn't quite happen. We're hoping that will happen next summer.
Okay, thank you.
Frank is up next.
Okay. Actually, this is related to strategically. Okay, so one of the things that I've been thinking about is the reason I had asked the question about affiliates and also the attendance is maybe that is another mechanism for which to increase attendance, because some of our affiliates after COVID kind of fell apart. So that might be more of a membership question, but that would be something that I would like to see the organization, if it's trying to, from its strategic plan, how do we pull, how do we leverage affiliates, or how do we help, how does the organization help affiliates grow back post-COVID?
One of the things we're trying to do, Frank, is encourage affiliates to have regional meetings. I know this is happening in the Northeast for the first time coming up in 2026. We recognize that many of our affiliates have shrunk or disbanded altogether. We're hoping by bringing them together as a group that will help Other than that, it's difficult because affiliates are their own organization. We don't control them in any way, shape, or form. We are here to help them, but we need them to come to us more than we can force our will on them. If forced our will isn't a good way to say that, but um, it would be more helpful if they would come to us and ask us to help rather than us going to them and trying to um, be top down sort of thing, because we don't have that authority over them.
Of course, I totally understand. Mostly it was just having it on the organization's radar, like how can we help? How can AMATYC help the affiliates come back? What are their needs? And I do like the idea of the regional conferences.
Okay, let's see. I'm refreshing the sheet to see if there's anybody else. I think we're at the end. Um, Kate, to answer your question, yes. So let's see, moving on. We now move into new business. As we move into new business, I remind you of the rules of conduct on page 15. All persons who speak must use the form in the chat to submit their name, delegate type, and if you are speaking pro or con on the motion, or asking a process comment. We will alternate pro and con speakers if there are different viewpoints. Otherwise, speakers will be recognized until all speakers have had a chance to speak. No speaker may speak on a motion more than 2 times. Initially, there will be a 10-minute limit on debate, which can be changed by the chair or by a vote of the body. And there will be a limit of 2 minutes per speaker. I would like to invite Mark Early, Chair of the Standards Committee, to please place the motion on the floor on pages 82 through 135, which is to update the ownership chapter of Impact.
Thank you, George. On behalf of the standards team and the ownership writing team, I move that the AMATYC Delegate Assembly approve the attached revised ownership chapter of Impact for immediate online publication.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Since this motion comes from a committee, it does not need a second. Mr. Chair, would you like to speak in favor of this motion?
Yes, just briefly, this did go through 2 very positive forums last summer. Karen Gaines and her writing team worked very hard to get this accomplished over the last 6 to 8 months, did a fantastic job. Besides our new Impact chapter that we approved at last year's Delegate Assembly, this is our first revised chapter of the original Impact document published in 2018. And we plan to continue that process in the coming years to get the rest of these chapters published, revised, and published.
Thank you very much. Please use the link in the chat if you would like to speak on this motion. "30 seconds feels like a really long time to wait, doesn't it? It's like being in class when you ask, are there any questions, and nobody says anything. I'm not seeing any. I'm going to give it one more refresh. Seeing as there is no discussion, without objection, I'm going to approve this by consent. If you have an objection, please post that in the comments now. Seeing no comments, I will consider this motion approved by consent. Is there any other new business for the body today? Johanna Debrecht would like to make a motion. Hang on, Johanna. Johanna, you should now be allowed to speak, and if you wait just a minute, Laura is going to pull your motion up for you.
As soon as Laura gets the technology figured out, just a second.
No worries, Laura.
There you go.
Okay. Oh God, I can't read that. Okay. Okay, so Johanna Debrecht, affiliate delegate for AMATYC in Colorado. I would like to make a motion to rescind the board's decision to disband some ANETs without following the proper policies and procedures as contained in PPM 9.1.8, procedure for disbanding an ANET, and allow them to continue for the next year with the same chair effective immediately. My rationale in the
Johanna, wait.
Yes.
We need to get a second first before you can go into your rationale. Would
Okay.
somebody like to second this motion? If so, please put your name in the chat. Julie Mayer has seconded the motion. Thank you, Julie. Johanna, would you like to speak on the motion now?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
So now do I talk?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So there are two parts in the policy and procedure manual that address the disbandment of ANETs. There is a section 5.1.6 academic committee ANET responsibilities under the responsibilities of the board. Item 3 says disband the ANET when it is no longer needed. However, I do not believe that gives the board the ability to disband an ANET without following the policies and procedures in section 9.1.8, which says if an ANET's topic is outdated or if the ANET is not functioning or meeting its objectives, the AMATYC Executive Board will prepare an action plan for the ANET containing measurable outcomes to be achieved and a timeline. And then it goes on to state that the ANET's work on the action will be monitored by their liaison. There was no action plan created. And because they did not follow the policy and procedure in 9.1.8, I feel that it should be rescinded and we should allow these ANETs to continue for the next year with the same chair effective immediately. I do believe that we need to re-look at the ANETs and reorganize them. I realize finances are an issue. I think there are other ways to come up with the money to fund them if they are deemed to be valuable and should continue. For example, the developmental mathematics ANET has been one of the most active ANETs in AMATYC. Its conference sessions are well attended. It is well functioning, meets its objectives, and more than half the states still teach developmental math courses in college. The only state that I found that did not teach any kind of developmental at all was California. There was a rumor that Connecticut did not allow that, but that is not in fact the case. I have verified that there are community colleges in Connecticut that do teach developmental math courses. In addition, even the states that have gotten rid of the developmental are doing the co-requisite, and there is much work to be done there, and that also falls under the developmental math course ANET. I also feel that the adjunct ANET should not be disbanded, largely because I think there's a difference between never having one and not adding one, and having one and getting rid of it. I think it sends the wrong message to the adjunct faculty that we're supposed to be serving, and I feel that we should not do that. I cannot speak to the other two ANETs because I'm not familiar with their work, but I do believe we should follow our own policies and procedures. And I think this needs to be considered more deeply with input from different members of AMATYC at large.
Thank you, Johanna. Before I go to speakers, both con and pro, I just want everybody to know that I have spent several hours with our parliamentarian over the last few days, going over the policies and procedure manual, the bylaws, and Robert's Rules of Order. And he has given me something that I should read. So this is neither for nor against. This is just parliamentary information. The bylaws draw a clear boundary in Article 8, stating that academic committees, including ANETs, are established and discharged by the Executive Board. So the Delegate Assembly cannot compel the Board to create or recreate one by motion. The Assembly can, however, express the will of the membership, which is why the Policies and Procedure Manuals provides a specific mechanism for questioning a disbanding. If 2/3 of the delegates vote in favor of this motion to reestablish the ANETs, the president must do so. If that threshold is not met, the board is not required to act, but it may still choose to do so as a matter of good governance. In other words, when we vote on this motion, that vote sets the boundary and the board then decides the best practice response. And to be clear, questions about whether the board followed the PPM procedure do not invalidate the board's decision. The question before the Assembly is not about process, but about whether the ANETs should be reestablished under the remedy the PPM provides. Okay. So I see in the sheet that Eddie Churchian would like to speak on the motion. Eddie, please.
Yeah, thank you, George. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to say hi again. First of all, happy afternoon, and speak on this motion because I was the chair of the OAC, the committee that looked at it. And I don't know if you heard George earlier, but as a result of a bigger picture, essentially trying to help the organization financially, this board had strong indication that we need a reorg, and we started, as George pointed out, with the ANETs simply because we didn't want to cut off anyone in the middle of their term, and we had a lot of terms ending this year, and we have to start somewhere. What I would definitely agree with what Joanna just said, is that these ANETs, all of our ANETs, do a great job. I think that they are fantastic in representing our membership and in representing what AMATYC stands for, and in helping with position statements and many other things. So as George pointed out earlier, none of these recommendations were made with performance in mind. So I just want to be absolutely clear on that. One of the reasons I speak against this motion is, first, there is some inaccuracies. The AMATYC bylaws overtake the AMATYC PPM precedence-wise all the time, always. And Article 8, Section 3, Item B is very clear that academic committees are established and discharged by the Executive Board. Their designations and specific purposes will change as the needs of the association change. Those are the first two sentences. So I do not believe that the board actually acted in any way that violates any rule. What I will agree with is that our PPM needs a lot of revisions. And I think that it is very wisely pointed out that, also Joanna read it in Section 5 of the PPM, that the board can decide on discharge and creation of those committees. I think that Section 9.1.8 of the PPM is mistitled. It says procedure for disbanding of an ANET. That's misleading. That is only the case under the plan, or sorry, under the lack of a charge or goal or implementation. Let me be specific. I like quoting things so that I'm exact. So the items, sorry, the section starts. Ooh, I clicked on the wrong thing. 9.1.8. Sorry, let me scroll on my computer, but I think it's important to read it. It says if an ANET's topic is outdated or if the ANET is not functioning or meeting its objectives, the AMATYC board will prepare an action plan for the ANET containing measurable outcomes to be achieved and a timeline. This is not the case here. We do not feel as a board that any ANET's topic is outdated, nor that it's not functioning or meeting its objectives. Therefore, to me, this section does not apply. This section simply lists how to disband an ANET if that is happening. And that is not happening here. This section has nothing to do with any financial responsibility for the organization or a reorg. So we have to be aware of that. The bylaws clearly state that it is up to the board to create and disband ANETs. I do want to point out last year we created a new ANET. This was the research ANET that we currently have that Dana Callahan chairs. That did not go through this delegate assembly. So I think that you guys need to remember that as well. It's because the board has good faith in its ANETs and their performance. This was simply done as the beginning of a reorg and something that I really would love all of us, because again, I know a lot of the people on these ANETs, and they're great individuals. They're very progressive thinkers. I hate that we haven't spent a lot of time thinking about the new synergy that the plan creates. We haven't spent any time discussing how the new charges of the other ANETs could be, redone in order to take on this work. But we've really stuck to just thinking, oh, this work has to be done in committee, and that's it. So if this ANET is not there, this work dies. I don't think that that's the case. I think that AMATYC is full of great leaders that could have those conversations and could create more synergy when it's needed. The financial situation is dire. It seems like it's the case everywhere. We hear that it's dire with adjuncts. We hear that it's dire with Canadians, apparently, right? Everyone is struggling, and we as an organization are also struggling. So while it seems like this is a small change, and it's really the beginning of a much bigger change that we as an organization have to recognize. If AMATYC does not change and does not reorganize properly, there might not be an AMATYC. We've been passing negative budgets. I don't know if you heard George say that, and if you've heard Kyle's concerns earlier. And our foundation board has also sent us a letter of concern about our spending and about our finances. So while we're looking at something that seems small here, a lot of thought has been put into it and a lot of discussion has gone into it. It does not mean that these ANETs cannot be brought back eventually down the line if things are rosier, financially speaking, or it does not mean that this is the end of this work. I was the board liaison for Pat and for the adjunct faculty issues ANET, and I know some of the great work that's been done in the past years and before that with Pat. Partnering with MAA is vital. Working with them to create, more of a connection between MAA and AMATYC. And the first thing I did as incoming president is I told Pat this work does not have to stop just because an ANET does not exist. I'm not sure how having the ANET affects the finances of adjunct instructors personally, but it does not mean that we do not care about adjuncts, nor does it mean that the work has to stop. We have ways of supporting that work, and we have to ensure, Natalia was spot on earlier in saying that that work does not get lost. There are a lot of expenses that go into the ANETs other than just, having the chair be funded as coming to the conference that you guys might not know about unless you've been on the board. For example, this year we had to spend money on getting AV set up for 2 additional rooms at the conference just because they held ANET meetings. When we negotiating with hotels and conference sites, we have to negotiate for extra rooms. We have to get AV set up. So there are certainly expenses linked to it, and it's not the main or primary or only reason, but again, along with the organization of the rearc, I should say, rather, of AMATYC, it's what we decided to go with. So I'm a con. I speak against this motion. I don't believe that there is any parliamentary problems with what was done. The bylaws outweigh the PPM, and they clearly state under Article 8, Section 3, that the board has the right to disband and create committees at any given point. I'm done. Thank you, Dennis, for the warning.
It's a reminder, 2 minutes per speaker. Eddie went right to his 2 minutes. That was impressive. Pat Barrientos, you are next, speaking pro.
All right, will I later get to make a motion? A different motion, similar motion?
There will be an opportunity to make other motions, yes.
Okay. Well, speaking to this, the removal of the adjunct issues ANET is, as one AMATYC member said to the board, a slap in the face to adjuncts, literally nationwide. We're a grossly underrepresented group of faculty. Non-union adjuncts face job insecurity, have to hold multiple jobs. Some in other states can make ends meet.
You're breaking up and I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
Please
I'm sorry.
continue.
Non-union adjuncts face job insecurity. They have to hold multiple jobs, some in other states, to make ends meet. They have no sick leave, no benefits, limited resources, and limited support. Many feel isolated, undervalued, and underappreciated. Although they teach the same classes as full-time faculty and hold the same degrees or higher, they are paid much less. For example, an adjunct with a maximum amount of classes per year can clear approximately only $25,000, and that's from research. Some earn below or barely above the poverty line, which creates an abyss when compared to starting full-time faculty pay. And finally, adjuncts have limited or no voice and are fearful of repercussions for speaking out. AMATYC has stilled yet another voice by filtering this ANET through other ANETs. So yes, this is a slap in the face to adjuncts. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Saunders had a procedure question. Sean, please.
Thanks, George. I think you might have addressed this already, but I just kind of missed what you were saying that the parliamentarian said. I'm just curious, is this motion in order that we are to, does the assembly have the authority to rescind the board's decision? It doesn't seem to be in the bylaws anywhere that we would have the ability to rescind the board's decision. And if this motion's not in order, then should we not replace it with something that is in order, such to the effect of reinstating the ANETs, which seems to be the general desire of the motion, though I'm not entirely confident of that either.
Yes.
Our parliamentarian sent me a message. He says, I think so. So I assume he means I think the motion is in order. And I think it's because the clause in the PPM which says that by 2/3 vote, we would have to reinstate the ANET. Our time is up, the 10-minute. Without objection, I'm going to extend by 10 minutes.
So can I ask a clarifying question then, George?
You may, Sean.
Okay. So then is what the assembly is discussing right now the decision to reinstate the ANETs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so next for Con, I have Sophia Georgiakaki. Sophia, please.
Hello, everybody. Sofia Georgiakaki. I am the Northeast VP. I'm actually acting as a Northeast VP just for this year because the position became vacant. So I joined the board after the work of the committee that was looking at the reorganization had done its work. But I have been this year in the board where the discussions were happening. And as a person who was not aware of the situation and now learned a lot of stuff within a year, and now I'm stepping out of the board, I think that the board is making a very sound decision with their decision to disband 4 of those ANETs, to discontinue them. And it is not that the topics are outdated. It is not that the ANETs are not functioning. It is the board's responsibility to ensure the financial health of the organization. And we have seen that for the past several years, the organization's health is not improving and things need to change. One question that was brought up in the delegate assembly was about the membership committee. The membership committee is mainly staffed by the regional VPs. And because our membership numbers are not improving, the board is also looking at the board's composition and whether the way it's functioning right now actually serves the purpose. So I'm in favor of remaining with this decision.
Thank you, Sophia. Let's see. The next person wishing to speak pro is Christine.
Hi, Mirabaha, placement and assessment, and also Maryland AMATYC president. I want to speak pro because I think that right now there are other places besides just developmental math and adjunct that are going away. For example, the division department leadership, ANET. And that particular ANET, that's that group, it's the only place where people who are in supervisory positions can speak freely. But if we put everybody like that into another in with other places, with other people, they're not going to be able to speak as freely, for number one. Number two, I think that by looking at everything and talking to the actual ANET leaders, the ANET chairs, and seeing if the ANET chairs could come up with a way that to do something. I do recognize that AMATYC, it does have financial issues. I understand membership and everything else, and I truly support that there needs to be some changes. And I agree that there needs to be changes with the ANETs included in that. But I would hope that the ANETs themselves would be able to discuss this and come up with maybe a solution that the board could at least entertain. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Our next con speaker is Chris Ewan.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Hi. It's not really a con. I just couldn't find a place where to ask a question. So
okay.
I understand the financial piece, and I understand that there has been extensive discussions and process when by the board when they're discussing how to do some cost saving measure with these three ANETs. My question is, these three ANETs are pretty important, as you could hear from the pros. Have any discussion led to which other ANETs may host the developmental math piece, the adjunct piece, and the third one I can't remember. I can't speak today. So that was my question. Are there any potential homes for these three ANETs?
Not at this time. That will be something that the current, if we reduce the ANETs, the current remaining ANET chairs will be asked to redefine their ANET goals. And part of that would be for the ANETs themselves to decide where these pieces fit in and for them to make that decision. So while that has not happened yet, the goal is that it will happen.
Thank you, George.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so since that was a procedural question, that was neither a pro nor a con, I will go to the next con. The next con is Jessica Bernards. Sorry, Jessica, you may speak now.
Thank you. I was talking. I'm like, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I feel like the Verizon guy. I think the biggest thing I want to say is like every single ANET is important, right? Like they all do good work. I've been a member of the developmental math ANET for ever since I've been a part of AMATYC, so 15 years, and it's a wonderful, incredible ANET that I've learned so much from. So I wanted to start by saying that. I think one of the biggest issues though that we're facing is we have the financial issue, and we have we to the conference, and we can't continue doing that. We have to find ways to cut. So same thing for vice presidents, of cutting down how many vice presidents we have to be able to save money. So it's the same thing we're doing at the executive level as well as the ANET level. So the problem is that no matter what, it's a bummer, but we need to cut costs. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're doing a $99,000 deficit budget. AMATYC has to stay. So we have to find a way to cut money, and this is one of the ways. And it's not saying that these topics are not important, because they absolutely are. And so again, as George just said, our goal is going to be to find ways that we can have these other ANETs still be a part of groups and ANETs or whatever, and just kind of now be under a different ANET, like leader kind of thing. So we're cutting that down because we can't continue going the way we're going, or AMATYC will not be here in the next 10 years.
Thank you, Jessica. Johanna Debrecht, you are next on my list of people who want to speak pro, but do you want to save your second time to be last?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, I will go to the next person on the list. That is Julie Mayer. In just a second, Julie, let me unmute you. Okay, Julie, please proceed.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to be really brief. So basically, what I think this motion is all about is that we should take and it's Meyer, by the way, we should take a more thoughtful, careful, and inclusive process for making the decision to get rid of the ANETs. She's not saying that we shouldn't get rid of them. It says clearly in the rationale that restructure is needed. But I think the fact that we should include the membership and the assembly actually to make these decisions and to come up with another potential restructure is a good idea. I think that getting rid of the ANETs without really involving the assembly and other membership is counter to building membership, actually. And I think and so we all understand financial issues, and we understand that AMATYC has fairly serious financial issues, but part of responding to those issues is to build membership. So I don't think we should give into the fear, even if it's valid. I think we should be willing to be more thoughtful and considerate and inclusive in making this decision. And so that's why I would like to pass this motion and step back and come up with a better way of restructuring. Thank you. I'm pro, by the way.
Thank you. Next, I see a procedural question, so I will go to that one next. Time is up again. I'm still seeing multiple pros and cons in the sheet. So without objection, I will extend 10 more minutes. Nikita, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nikita Patterson, Southeast Region. My question is, her motion says at the end, allow them to continue for the next year with the same chair effective immediately. But the PPM 9.1.8 that she refers to, number 3 says, if 2/3 of the delegates present vote to reestablish the ANET, it will be reestablished by the president by appointing a new chairperson. So I guess my question is, which one of these would go into effect? Thank you.
That is an excellent question, Nikita. And that would be my decision. To decide who would be the chair, seeing as the people who are currently in that position, their term ends December 31st. I could choose to appoint them as the new chair starting January 1st if I wanted to. Um, Truthfully, I haven't given that question much thought at this point because I'm not sure which way this motion is going to go. So if I'll deal with that when I have to. Okay. I believe next we are ready for Con. That's Kate Kozak.
Uh, Thank you, George. So as you heard, I will be put in charge of the committee that's looking at our finances and coming up with some new ideas. And so I'm actually against this motion because the board is, we do tell the board to be working on our budgets and our passing budgets and so forth, and they can understand where we are and how dire things are right now. And I'd really like to see AMATYC continue for as many years as we can. But I also have to say is that disbanding this does not mean that we are saying we don't believe that these ANETs have issues to talk about. It just means we aren't, the AMATYC's not going to be supporting them, but there's nothing that says they can't meet and still have discussions and still have that sense of community they need to have. It just wouldn't be an official ANET that gets support from the board and the chair gets support to attend the conference. These ANETs could still exist, just not being supported by the organization. So I think we have to look at it in that way, that there's other ways we can work through and make sure that these voices still get heard and the community is still there. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next pro speaker is Curtis Mitchell.
I'll be brief. I very much respect the difficult position the board is in. But I do feel that in this time of financial exigency, what we see is that if institutions cut positions or, in this case, committees, it will inevitably be read as a statement by the organization that these things are not as important to our purpose as the ones we have chosen to retain. No matter what our intent is, that interpretation, everywhere the jobs get cut, that's what I've seen. So I do feel that this is a penny wise and pound foolish maneuver, because I think the impact on retaining and recruiting members is going to overshadow the money saved. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm refreshing. In the chat, somebody asked how much money is involved. Approximately $6,000 a year. We have Kim Granger next, wishing to speak pro. Kim, hold on. All right, you should be able to unmute now.
Thank you, George. I am somewhat hesitant to be a speaker because I hope that there's not an impression that I'm speaking only because I'm currently I was chairing one of the ANETs that was selected. And I would welcome the idea that was brought up about even being a new chair. So I hope it's clear that I'm not just fighting for me to keep a position. That's not it at all. I did want to share one piece that I wasn't aware of until the Reno conference. And because that was the first time that the developmental ANET at large was able to hear that news and discuss it in person. And some of the comments I heard back do reflect what was that Curtis, I think, that just shared that there were an ANET or a member of an ANET may feel, or the membership at large may feel that the organization is saying we don't support this group and I understand that that's not been the case. And I want to say, George and Eddie, both, you've been very, very generous and kind with the comments of affirming and reaffirming that the decision was not based on ANET performance or chair performance, but the membership may feel that the lack of support for an ANET is a hidden message that topic is no longer supported. Another thing I heard in Reno, when I hadn't thought of this before being there, was developmental ANET members saying that that was why that networking and that coming to the conference and knowing when they look at the schedule that there was a themed session, that there were a number of developmental topics pushed. Yes.
Kim, Dennis, is that time's up for the individual
okay.
speaker or time's up for the 10 minutes?
For Kim.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, Kim. Your 2 minutes has expired. Okay, I'm not seeing any further speakers.
George, I'd like to go a second time, please.
Okay. Eddie may go a second time.
Yeah, absolutely. Oops. Sorry, let me get my video. There you go. Thank you, George. Yeah, I really, really appreciate all the feedback, and it is so great to get this feedback from all of you and to hear how our membership feels, because ultimately the board acts in their best efforts to reflect the membership's opinion. And I just want to say I'm at the same time really disappointed that we're hearing these comments now. We met with all ANET chairs many months ago, over 9 months ago, in February or January. I can't remember the exact month. But George and I had that meeting with all ANET chairs. Many of you were there. Majority of the ANET chairs were there. Not all were there, but many, including some of those whose ANETs were disbanded, were present at that meeting. And we did not get this feedback then, nor did we get it afterwards until Reno. That's when the conversation sort of started. And I'm not sure how ANET chairs are communicating with their ANETs or how they're sending messages or updates, but it's really disappointing to hear this feedback now. And when we did ask the ANET chairs for getting feedback from their membership and from them themselves, because obviously this is a big change and we recognize that. George followed it up with another email, and there was no feedback to that. So I just wanted to make sure the Delegate Assembly is aware that I feel in my heart that George and I really did do our due diligence on this, and we did not follow any plan in the PPM because we don't feel that procedure makes sense in this situation. We're not disbanding any of these committees, or ANETs, I should say, due to lack of goals or or them not doing their part. And I want to double stress what my good friend Kate Kozak said, because she is a past president. She's been on many boards. This is the third board I've been on. Kate's been on many. And I'm also surprised that there is not as much conversation in Reno and now about how we could work together to keep the mission, the charge, and the spirit of that community alive in some other form. As incoming president, I could assure you that I'm happy to have those conversations and find ways to support folks, maybe not financially, but find ways to support them in that effort. So I really wish that we would focus our energy on that. But I want to assure the body we did do our due diligence in checking and trying to get feedback. Thank you.
Why do you get to keep that?
Okay, thank you. In the chat, I have seen a request to call the question. So,
Do I not get to speak again?
well,
you would have to vote on the call for question, I
okay,
believe, right?
so that was a question. I had 2 questions for my parliamentarian. Before I call the question, does the person who made the motion get to speak a second time? He says the motion to call the question takes precedence. So, at this point, is there an objection to calling the question?
Yes, I object.
Okay, in which case we must take a vote on calling the question. and again, Mr. Parliamentarian, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we need 2/3 vote in order to call the question. 2/3, he says. Okay. So I'm going to put up a poll. Um, so you'll notice this one is called blank motion just in case. So this is, do you wish to call the question? If you are voting yes, you are ready to end debate. If you are voting no, you would like debate to continue.
Betty's just.
We did not reach 2/3, so debate continues. Next, I saw Pat wished to speak again. Pat, you should now be able to unmute.
Okay. I understand that the AMATYC has financial issues from what you all are saying. And however, why the adjunct ANET? Why does that have to go? We are the most underrepresented group, and you take that away too. Furthermore, to answer Eddie's assertions, no one said that that meeting that we had in January was to be about disbanding the ANETs. That takes place during our faculty development week at El Paso Community College. I had an issue with a workshop I was presenting and could not attend. I did not receive a copy of the recording. I did not receive any email. I found out from another adjunct who had her ANET disbanded right before we went to Reno that this had occurred. So I don't know what input everybody had. Certainly I wasn't able to give my input, and I'm giving it now. I think this is an abomination. I understand Eddie is against it, and Eddie is our incoming president, and Eddie has influence, but this is wrong. Why adjuncts? Why cut the adjuncts? And who's going to support an organization that clearly does not fully support adjuncts? I, for one, will not and would not encourage anyone to support this organization in the future. Thank you.
I am checking to see if there are any further cons. Loading, loading, loading. I am not seeing any further cons. And the only remaining pro that I am seeing is the maker of the motion. So I will allow the maker of the motion to speak, and then we will vote.
Thank you, George. I realize this is a very emotional topic, and there are a lot of conflicting goals here. I don't think that anybody is trying to hurt anybody else, but I do want to say that the purpose of the policies and procedures manual is to lay out the operations and the policies and procedures by which the bylaws will be carried out. if the board is not subject to the policy and procedures manuals when it doesn't want to be, then why is it there? There is a procedure for disbanding an ANET in the policy and procedures manual. It was not followed. And because of that, I submit that the board's decision was not legal to start with. In that case, I don't think that we should have to have a 2/3 majority vote here to overturn it, because I don't think it's legal to begin with. The bylaws do not say that they don't have to follow the policy and procedure manual. And you may say that this is not what it was meant for, but that is not what it says. And yes, it does need to be redone, but at the moment we have to go by what it says. So I do feel that there are other ways of saving money. For example, I am more than willing to share my hotel room during the conference with one of the other ANET chairs, in which case we don't have to pay for their hotel. $6,000 in our budget is actually not that much. It is a very small amount. And I think the message that we send by disbanding these ANETs is a bad look for AMATYC. And I think it will not be popular with our members. And I think it will result in a lot of bad feeling. And I believe because of the optics on this, that we should take one more year to completely reorganize ANETs, whether they're due for a new chair or not, and look at all ANETs, decide how many we can support, and then determine how and which ones to disband. I believe that we have not taken a long, careful look at that, and I think that should happen.
Thank you, Johanna. A comment I received from our parliamentarian. You mentioned that you believe the board's decision is invalid because we did not follow the PPM. He tells me that that would be true if the requirement were in the bylaws. Since it is in the PPM, the decision remains valid, although the board may wish to address the policy mismatch between the PPM and the bylaws. So, okay, we are now going to vote. I will launch a motion here, or launch a vote here. So the motion is to reinstate the ANETs. If you vote yes, then you are voting to override the board's decision. If you are voting no, you are voting to stay with the board's decision and eliminate the 4 ANETs.
I believe the motion only speaks to 2 ANETs, George, not 4.
That is not correct, Eddie.
It says some, so I'm sorry for the confusion.
Okay, 100 people have responded. 100% of people have responded. It did not reach the 2/3 threshold required. However, as you can see, it was close. That means that the board will take this under advisement and have discussions about how to move forward.
Are we able to vote on each ANET separately as stated in the policy and procedure manual, or does it have to be on all 4?
I'm hoping my parliamentarian will give me, my opinion is that's substantially the same motion. Mr. Parliamentarian, would we be able to do each one individually? He says, unfortunately, no, too late now that the motion has been voted on, that it would be substantially the same motion. Not allowed by Robert's Rules of Order. Is there any further new business for the order? Okay. Sean Saunders has put a point of order. It seems as though there was confusion on what the actual motion was. The motion was as stated in the statement that is on your screen. Okay, at this point, are there any delegate assembly members wishing to bring forward items of discussion? I will repost the link to the forum here if you would like to speak on other topics. Please complete the form.
Hey, George, I think we have John Oakes and Phil Mayer for procedural comments.
Yes, John, I tried to write to you individually, but for some reason you're not in the chat. I'm not sure why that is. And Phil was correct. I did make a mistake. The call to question should have had a second before I moved forward with the vote, but it's kind of too late because I already moved it to a vote. So my parliamentarian says a second was given because of discussion. Okay. Uh, Kate Kozak wishes to speak. Forgot about that. Kate, sorry, please go ahead.
That's okay. I did want to make the announcement that there is, and I'll be sending an email out at the start of in January about the fact that there is going to be another workshop for two-year college data science initiative. It's called Two-Year College Data Science Initiative 2.0. It's a workshop. It's going to be June, and let me get the exact dates that I forgot to look them up. It's going to be in June at the College of the Canyons, and it's going to be June 11th through the 13th. We are going to have training on how to actually teach data science course at your school. It'll be technology discussions and also pedagogical questions, and we will be giving you that information. We can take up to 48 people, I believe, that we have budgeted for. And so that there's a place on our website to actually do that. And again, email will be going out about that to have you apply for that. And the applications are being accepted through March 2nd. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Frank, please.
I'm not sure why I was selected to speak. I didn't submit any form.
Oh, your name's in the form. I see it there.
Okay.
Okay. That's because I picked the wrong Frank. Sorry, Frank. I picked Frank Marfia, which was the wrong Frank. Frank Monteseri, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to propose that the board consider, with especially the financial interest at the forefront, especially since the conference sites have not been selected past 2028, to consider having, as a part of the strategic plan review, a option of only having in-person conferences every other year. And then that would allow on the alternate years for there to be, you could say, the regional conferences that would be done strictly virtual. I know at our school, we had to do a $0 budget situation where we had to plan ahead for our entire year of fiscal funding. But what ended up happening is that we couldn't plan out anything, especially if we didn't know the costs of it. Fortunately, we had enough in our reserve to send Project Access fellows to the conference, but then at the same time, it would be nice if we could have a potentially 2-year budget to plan out for certain regional or national events. So that's my suggestion, is to consider having, say, on the even years, the in-person conference, and on the odd years, regional virtual conferences. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Anna. Anna Pint, please. Anna, if you were speaking, we can't hear you. It looks like you were unmuted. We'll come back to Anna. Nancy Sattler, please.
Thank you, George. First of all, I would like to commend the board. Unless you have been on the board and walked in their shoes, you don't know how difficult it is sometimes to make some decisions that impact the membership. Since the pandemic, we've had some very difficult times, and the board has been dealing with that the best they can. I'm not always in agreement 100% in what is happening, but I support the board. And I would say to those of you who are members of the 4 ANETs that have been discontinued, that you go and examine the goals of the other ANETs to see which ones closely align with your thoughts, and see if you can't have some input into the modification of their goals to include the issues that are important to you. Finally, I would like to say, in another few days, George will no longer be president. There will be a new board with many new vice presidents. This is an opportunity for some new blood to think about things and to listen to what you've said today. So I hope all of you will take into consideration the comment of past President Judy Ackerman and talk up membership in AMATYC, because by getting new members, we will have some new ideas. We will be able to flourish. Thank you very much.
Anna, can you try speaking again?
You didn't hear that?
I heard Nancy. I can't hear Anna.
Oh.
Okay, Anna, unfortunately, if you were trying to speak, we still cannot hear you. Not sure what's going on there. I'm checking the sheet to see if there are any other people wishing to speak. I do not see any. Okay, so I have a few general announcements before we close. You can see the results of the survey about a potential name change. Sean Saunders asked about this earlier. So Anna's recommendation is to consider a spring virtual conference. Anna, we are actually working on that as we speak. This year, we will be having a spring webinar day as a first step to invoking eventually an entire online virtual spring conference. We're probably 2 to 3 years away from having that entire conference up and ready. And this is in part to address some of the comments that have been made about having our in-person conference be hybrid, which creates many challenges and many expenses. So we are avoiding that at this point, but we're hoping by creating a different venue, we will address some of those issues. Okay, anyway, you can see the results of the survey about the potential name change. Due to there being no clear indication of which direction to take, the board decided not to pursue a name change at this time. I have a few announcements from the conference. Carrie Benchen, Kim Granger, Marta Grinevold, and Chris Orline were recipients of the Teaching Excellence Award. Congratulations to each of them. Chris Raiola was the recipient of the Herb Gross Presidential Award. Congratulations, Chris. We created the 2026-2027 nominating committee. The members are, I serve as the chair as past president. Marta Greneveld is the Northeast representative. Chris Ward from Mid-Atlantic. Ebenezer Williams from the Southeast. Amy Peppinger from the Midwest. Chris M. in the Central. Lisa Clifford in the Southwest. Jeff Crable from the Northwest. Lindsay Gerber from the West. Pat Riley, Lisa Feynman, and Rob Eby will all be at-large members. Thank you to all of those who volunteered to serve on this important committee, whether or not you were selected. I would like, once again, take this opportunity to recognize and thank the local events coordinator for the Reno conference, Julian Kiefer, and her team for all the work they performed for the conference. Thanks also to Tori Susky and the rest of the conference committee for their year-long commitment and great work in bringing us this wonderful conference in Reno. Lastly, I would like to introduce Ashley's motion. Okay, I'm sorry. There's a thing that says you might want to take a look at Ashley's motion. Is it in the chat? Is it in the motion?
Smartsheet. It's in Smartsheet.
Okay, hold on just a second.
I don't know it. Anyway, take a look. I just wanted you to take a look before you totally concluded.
Her motion was, I would like a motion to create a committee to find ways to support ANETs that are proposed to be disbanded. I guess my comment on that is, in a way, that's already been done. The new ANET chairs will be asked to update their charges and find ways to work to keep the work going of those ANETs that were disbanded. And also the board will be working on that. So I'm not sure that I would work on creating a new committee. And Ashley has said, okay, thank you to that. So we shall move on. All right. I would like to introduce the board for the next 2 years. Eddie Churchian will serve as president, Chris Orline, president-elect, myself, George Hurlbert, as past president, Kyle Kundamal for treasurer, Nikita Pattison is our secretary, Chris Ewan, Northeast VP, Jonathan Weisbrod, Mid-Atlantic VP, Kim Walters, Southeast VP, Michael Caparula, Midwest VP, Johanna Debrecht, Central VP, Jennifer Travis, Southwest VP, Lori Holden, Northwest VP, and Ben Moulton as the West VP. Thank you to all of those who ran for board positions. Lastly, I thank you, the AMATYC delegates, for your participation in this delegate assembly. Until the 2026 virtual delegate assembly, there being no further business, the 2025 virtual delegate assembly is adjourned. And a reminder to the board members who are here, we have a board meeting following this, but there is a different link for that, so please check your calendars.
Dan asked to talk to us.
Yes, I sent Don the link for our next meeting.
All right, so we can exit.
Yes, please exit and let's take 10 minutes. I need to use the bathroom very particularly.